And welcome to the 570 Party Pod, where we showcase awesome people in the wrestling industry in shorter form podcasts for people with short attention spans like me and Party Camp Queen over there. Really short attention spans. And as you're listening, do us a favor and click like so you can let us and the algorithms know you want more. Today, our guest is the one and only Mac Blakely, and we're going to talk about his journey that's progressed over the last about year. And Mac Blakely was actually one of our guests in our original podcast that we kind of went back to the drawing board and reinvented that became the 570 Party Pod. So help me, Lindsay, welcome Mac Blakely.
Woo! Welcome.
Thank you both.
We're so glad to have you back.
Oh, it's awesome speaking with you both again.
Awesome. So when we met you last time on the podcast, and we see you pretty frequently backstage at a lot of the 570 events and a lot of the events in the Poconos that we support and we attend. Last time you had a different name, and that's for a good reason, because you've actually gone through a career transition in the wrestling industry. And let's start out at about a year ago, you were a fan. So what was that like, having the fan experience first and foremost of 570 type style wrestling, family wrestling?
So the fun part about it is being a fan, you know, I guess since I got back into wrestling after college, which was 2017, I wanted to go to local shows, and I knew that Adina Steele, who is a friend of mine in real life, I was like, all right, I'm going to go see her shows, see how the scene is around here, just because, you know, you pay attention to the international and national stuff that you have to get back to the roots and see how it's all going. And as you keep going to these shows, you meet more people, and the vibes are just so great that you keep going to the shows. And I formed a friendship with From the Left Side's Millie, unsung hero of the scene. And we started going to different shows, just randomly seeing each other there, whether it's Smash Master Wrestling or Frontier Pro Wrestling. And, we're standing near the ring, and I'm thinking in my head, what if I gave it a shot? And as I kept going to more shows and I kept being ringside, I was like, I think I should at least give it a shot. It was 2 years. Yeah. I was just thinking in my head, like, what if I tried? What if I gave it a chance? And as you know, I, within the last year, started training and started with Miguel de Barrio, Sage de Barrio, and the whole Northeast Elite Wrestling Academy. We're going through everything you need to go through, especially making sure your fundamentals and basics are there, understanding how to be a professional, those kinds of things. And lo and behold, just started doing ring crew for whether it was Frontier or Smash, and then New Era coming along, and just getting my feet wet in the scene, and here we are.
For sure. So for everybody who's a non-wrestling fan listening to this podcast, which probably isn't many people, a bump is when you fall into wrestling and you kind of learn how to protect yourself and fall correctly so you actually don't get hurt. Zach Attack.
I'll say either works. We know each other, obviously, real life, so it's like you can call me whatever, but yeah.
Side quest, by the way, I've heard you have a twin brother named Zach that's also a referee, but that's a whole different story for a whole different commentary team. So what was your first bump like?
So obviously the big key is being trained how to bump right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, before even taking the bump, you have to make sure that you know how you do your rolls, and you have to be able to just understand the size of the ring, when you need to know when to hit the ropes or where to hit in the ring. So a lot of that was taught into us before actually taking the first bump. And then once you do, it's like, okay, initially it's something your back and stuff is not used to, but as you take more of them and you keep learning how to do things better, it's better as it goes. So for those who are thinking, oh, I don't know if I should go into wrestling because I don't know if I could take the bumps, if you're trained right, you can take the bumps.
And I think Miguel does it a very smart way. Some people who train will start you off right with those bumps. start off with the fun shit like Miguel does and run those ropes. Yes, it's exhausting, but it's also super fun. Doing the rolls is really fun, especially if it's something that you want to incorporate into what we call in the business your gimmick. So if those are types of things you want to do more often and put in your arsenal, that's a great way to get somebody started, because just like you said, when you take that first bump, it's not always going to be pretty. It's gonna be a little awkward, and your body is like, hey, what the hell did you just do to me? So I think that's a great way to start somebody's training off, is to wait on the bumping.
Yep.
And what I like about Miguel and the Northeast Elite Wrestling Academy is that they don't make you do senseless things like doing, like random half squat, you know what I mean? Things that aren't necessarily required. It's really like, okay, this is how you're supposed to take the bumps. Like, make sure that, as an example, always tuck your chin when you're taking a normal bump. You don't want to hit the back of your head on the canvas.
Yeah.
Making sure that you can do your rolls correctly, or be able to, if you have to call a match, meaning, say for some reason it doesn't go as planned and then you have to make those minor adjustments, learning how to be a pro in the situations that cause you to really like think in your head, okay, I need to do this.
Yeah, because that's something you don't just want to shout out, because then it kind of takes away from what's happening in the ring. People are like, oh, well, that's obvious. They just told each other what to do. So that's super important. A lot of people coming into it don't realize the actual importance of how to do that properly.
Yeah,
exactly. So and cadence to the crowd, making sure that you're not just doing your moves, but you're also getting the crowd involved however you can. Those are like the little things that we're taught. A lot of it is, you need to take the bumps to know how to do it. You need to know how to do your rolls, but psychology and terminology and all that is very important at the beginning of the training, because it's not just like, all right, you're just going to take 1,000 bumps and that's it. It's like, no, like you need to know what does shine mean? What does, heat mean? What, all those kinds of things that as a worker, you need to know. And that's something that Miguel is very good at teaching and introducing.
I agree.
Yeah. So question for you, in that first kind of phase, the initial not bumps, then bumps, a little bit of psychology, what was the most fun thing you got to do in the early phases of training?
Oh, the most fun. I mean, really, I know it may sound cliche, but knowing you can do it. So when you go through like your first few days of training and you're like, yeah, it was, your back, it has the adjustments, but it was just fun knowing that I can do it. And for going, promos are also part of what he wants us to do. It's not just taking the moves and all that. Also for that, you have to be able to cut a babyface promo. You need to be able to cut a heel promo and then learn from those. And I thought being able to explore those differences is fun. I mean, really, and just learning how to do it all is really just like, it's for me, it's just fun. Like, I just enjoy this.
Good. That's exciting.
So, yeah, and you mentioned heels and baby faces. So again, non-wrestling audience, heels are bad guys and baby faces are good guys and gals. What are you thinking? What would you like to be more in your first like official run as a pro wrestler?
And are you referring to in terms of like baby face or heel, or are you just saying in general?
Yeah, baby face or heel.
So Miguel's rule of thumb is most people can do heel because it's, you can say that this town stinks, or you look like a mess. Like, those things are easy to say to people.
That's super easy.
Yeah, you can hurt people's feelings pretty easily as a wrestler, right? Okay, yeah, I follow.
And he says, so most people can be heel, but you have to know how to be babyface before you can even explore that. Because if it gets to that scenario where you can only be one or the other, then you limit yourself. Absolutely. So we're going to start as face, and we'll see as it goes from here. But I think it's fun to do either. So whichever the promoter needs that day or not, then if I have to change it up for that show, then it is what it is,
And I think that's an interesting way to actually do it, because I've had now the experience within the past 2 years to watch both Brad DeMeo and Kit Raff start off as baby faces, who I absolutely love and adore. inside the ring and outside of the ring, but to see them go heel, holy shit, gave me goosebumps. They were so mean. I was like, I can't believe I know these people. So I think it's an interesting way to first get people behind you, because then when you have to turn heel, they double hate you. Same with Ricky Cleater Jr. He came out as such this nice guy, and now he's this prick. And look at how much like he had Millie from the left side on his side, and now they're enemies.
I'd say it's a constant battle on social media between those two.
Oh my goodness, the heat that they have together. Ooh, it takes my breath away.
It's a gift that I'm giving, and then I just want to say, you know, this is a little bit predetermined. This isn't real life, right?
Right.
Like, it's okay. We don't really dislike each other, right?
It's like you hope that's the case, but
Yes.
I mean, Ricky Cleater Jr. is his own his own person, so I don't want to speak on his behalf or Millie's behalf, but yeah, that's part of the fun of the whole thing, is just seeing the interactions from not just people in the locker rooms and stuff, but also the fans. I think that's a huge part of it.
And just as you had said, the psychology is playing a huge part of it, because he's not just playing the psychology while he's in the ring. The psychology also happens in social media these days to keep your fans interested long term. It's great to have that interaction via social media. So that side of it is probably so smart for you to learn also.
And one thing, Mac Blakely, is I think in you're learning this through your training, but you've known this as a fan, and it's a celebrated part of pro wrestling. It helps you escape everything else. It could be raining outside. You may have an earache. You may have had a crappy work week, but you go to pro wrestling and you get to escape. And one of the things that enables that are characters that draw you in with their emotions. Have you had a favorite pro wrestler? And then part B, a favorite local wrestler that's kind of drawn you in and actually made you forget for a moment that this was like predetermined and people not actually harming each other?
In terms of like past, current, I'll answer those separately. In terms of past, I think Kurt Angle was the perfect wrestler. And I know Mr. Perfect obviously was also perfect, but in terms of Kurt Angle, he could do serious, he could do comedy, he could do any of it. And to me, it was not just a guy in the ring doing moves, but someone who just knew how to do anything he was given. And seeing that was like, okay, this guy gets it. Rey Mysterio, another one. So like Ruthless Aggression Era was when I got into wrestling when I was younger. Didn't really get it as a kid, big sports guy. So I was like, well, if it's predetermined, then how do people get into it? And then as I got older, I started understanding it more. So it's kind of interesting how some people start as a kid and then they either grow out of it or it's something they don't keep up as, where for me, it was the opposite. I didn't watch as much as a kid. And then as I got older, I was more into it because I understood it more.
And I think that brings up a good point, as a lot of people don't classify wrestling, pro wrestling, I should say, as a sport. Coming from a fan, now going into it as an athlete, would you consider it a sport?
It is a sport because you have to be able to do those feats of athleticism and be able to use that athletic strength and mobility and psychology to not just win a match or wherever, but to be safe doing so. I think that's part of it too, is because there's some sports where, like American football, you are intentionally supposed to be rough. Right. Not to the point where you're trying to hurt people, but you're tackling people. There's the drills are intensive, which sure, there's wrestling intensive drills too that involve sports athleticism. So there's those types of comparisons. So that's why I would say yes in sports entertainment. So yes, sports.
I agree.
Yeah.
And who is the person in the local scene or indies in the last few years that have kind of drew you in? I know you mentioned Kurt Angle being one of those for you on the national level, but is there a person that you can name on the local level that you'd like to give credit for your spark to become a pro wrestler?
So honestly, when I got back into wrestling here from college and I started paying more attention to the local scene, I started seeing talent like Ricky Price and MIT and their rivalry at Frontier when the Pride Championship was on the line, and just seeing different tag teams as well, like Diamond City War Machines, where they can work with anyone. Though all four of those guys are really like big influences on me getting into this, and they've all been very supportive throughout, like you both have, which I'm very grateful for. And it's humbling sometimes when you're in your head like, can I do this? Can I not do it? And then there's others that say, you have the passion for this. Give it a shot. Do it. And that's part of what's pushed me to this. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, Lindsay.
No. I just said absolutely. You're totally fine. No interruptions.
She's bought into the story.
I am.
I can tell.
Jay Bougie's another one that tells a great story. So Mike Skyros, their upcoming match this Sunday it's going to tear the house down. Like, I don't think Voodoo understands how good that one's going to be. So
I absolutely agree. They've got gold on their hands with that one, literally, like with the belt. Like,
and by the way, quick plug, that's Smash Master Wrestling Smash Monster 3, October 6th. Bell time 5 p.m. This should come out before then. So if you hear this now, I'd feel obligated to show up at Voodoo and get a ticket, because you want to know what it's all about, right? You want to know what's fueling Mac Blakely.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I'll be there as a fan. So, yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. And yeah, it's a great time to be a fan. And if you're in the business too, then hopefully that spark is there. And yeah, I'm just, it's like almost like a giddy feeling where you're just, you're getting just into it, but you're just excited, and I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah, I get that every time that I go out there, and I know that I get to be up close and personal with everything that's happening in that ring, and I get that front row seat, which I get so excited about. And yes, some of it is predetermined, but I'm the type of person that I want to know nothing. I want to feel the raw emotion just as the fans do. So I get super hyped when I get to go to these shows.
Yep, for sure.
Another shout out to the Bad Fellas, Nathaniel Cunningham, Donnie Bambino. Those two also are tremendous at telling stories, and
absolutely,
I don't know if they get enough credit, so I wanted to give them a shout out.
Especially from going as heels to a babyface at New Era, and they were able to switch that up. And the day that they came out as faces, I was like, "Ooh, this isn't going to go well." But man, they got those fans right on their side. It was amazing.
Yep. For sure.
And the heavyweight champion, Alexander Bateman. I don't think there could be a better worker right now to have that championship. So another shout out there. And the champions think tank. I mean, New Era's also on a roll right now. Smash Master Wrestling, New Era Pro Wrestling, Frontier Pro Wrestling, 3WA also. Under new management, doing very well. So
Recombination Wrestling is growing exponentially as well. So congrats to them on all.
They're kind of our like adopted family from New York, right? And they're starting to bring their talent in and have different matches with Smash and different people. So it's really good, like a really, really healthy scene. I agree with you there. So Mac, you got to be a referee pretty quickly, and then found yourself in a Colossal Con ring, debuting in front of a bunch of folks dressed as Pokemon characters and other things. Can you walk us through the progression from becoming a referee to actually making your debut at Colossal Con?
Sure. So this past summer at Frontier Pro Wrestling's Battle at the Gate, the full-time official for Frontier was unable to make it, and they were really like short notice needing a referee. And I'm still in training, but as a fan of wrestling for years, obviously now I knew the ins and outs and all that kind of stuff. And Miguel, my mentor, asked, "Do you want to give reffing a chance?" So of course, yeah, why not? Like, it may be 105 degrees or whatever it felt like that day, but
literally was.
but yeah, I mean, and someone was, I don't know if they were buzzing balls or just, being that kind of person where they're like, "Oh, look at the ref wearing shorts." It's like, dude, it was literally like over 100 degrees, and that mat was black. Like, what do you
Pants may
expect
have
me to
been
do?
smarter for your skin's sake because that mat was so hot. You probably burned the shit out of your legs. But
Yeah. And each of the
heat-wise,
workers that day, I'm thinking, oh, if you're down for the 3, take that and roll right out. Like,
yeah,
don't.
absolutely.
But yeah,
Somebody
so
bring your bottled water and throw that on the mat before you go for the 3.
yeah, it was definitely a scorcher. So I ref that show, every match on that card actually. So that was a great first experience. And then as I continue to train, the battle royal opened up for that opportunity, and one golden opportunity. You have to at least try to put your head into it if you're qualified
Absolutely.
to. So
Absolutely.
so I said, hey, if I'm ready for your standards, boss, I want to go into that match. Then we kept refining the training, doing what we needed to do, and I got the approval for the Colossal Cade Golden Opportunity Battle Royal. It was doing all the ring crew and all that. No matter where it is, it's fun being able to be part of such a grand show.
Absolutely.
For
And
sure.
I got the experience to be there for both of those debuts for when we were at Frontier and we were at Penn Estates, and you were the only referee on a quite large card, and then to follow on and to be able to film you and have your match debut was so awesome to see. I had tears in my eyes. I was so happy for you.
And I can't thank you both enough because, as you both know, I was backstage and you could tell I wasn't breathing in and out through, in the nose, out the mouth. I was
You
stagnant, just
actually
standing there. And I was
looked
like,
so cool. You looked like nothing was bothering you. There were guys there that have been wrestling for 15 years that looked like they were going to pass out. And I just came in the back and you're like, oh, I was like, oh shit, he's cool. He's good.
but honestly,
But inside,
it was nerve wracking.
yeah.
You both were a big part of it. Like your continued support really helped me through that. So I really appreciate you both for doing all that you do for not just me, but the scene. It means a lot.
You'll have that forever.
Yep, we're here to
Thank
help.
you.
So I have to ask, what are we helping you do next, Mac Blakely? What happens a year from now to Mac Blakely? What does Mac Blakely become? Where do you want to see yourself wrestle? Will you be done with training by then? All those questions. Anything you want to answer?
In terms of training, I mean, you never really ever stop refining your skill set, whether it's initial training or intermediate training or training to be an expert at whether it's character work or in the ring or so for me, I just want to be not only a better version of myself, but just be out there, be able to be a utility hand, whether it's helping set up the ring or a referee or take part in the card as a wrestler, continue what I'm doing now, but at a, and when I say better rate, I just mean like as a better version of myself. I mean, I'm still only a few months in and I'm not trying to overcomplicate what or where I want to go. I kind of just want it to feel right with what I'm doing. I don't want to ever do something that feels uncomfortable. And I'm hoping from a year from now that I'm, again, just a better version of myself and at different places where I can and wherever shows up in the right way and benefits me. It's not something that when it comes to me, it goes, not sure about that just because whether it's a certain way that place has been rumored to run, things like that. So again, just to be a solid worker one way or another.
Excellent.
And I think that's smart for anybody who is new to the game and they are training. Do your research. A lot of schools around here are amazing, but you do have other promotions that have schools that aren't really in it for the wrestlers. They're in it for the money, which is unfortunate. So that is a great point. Do your research. Don't go somewhere that you're uncomfortable. You want to make sure you're getting good, safe training and having so much fun with it.
Yep.
That's really what it should be. It's fun, but being safe.
Yes,
those are the two things that I think are important. And no matter if it's wrestling, refereeing, setting up the ring, it's all related. You got to be safe, comfortable, and know that it's in your best interest.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it looks like you found the right place to train for you that'll give you the support and the space for you to learn and grow and with trainers that you're comfortable with. So that's awesome. Shout out to Miguel Del Barrio and the NEWA for creating such an awesome environment for folks like Zach, Zach and Mac to grow and train.
Yeah, both of them. Both of them are extremely grateful for the Del Barrio family, for Tico Rivera, who was also in the Battle Royal, Alex Phoenix, and Maria Del Barrio, who she is a prodigy in the making. So
can't wait to see her.
Yep.
I mean, really, both Sage and Maria are incredible talents as well. So it's just grateful to be associated with the Del Barrios.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Del Barrio family. All right. So Zach, Mac, either one of you, since we've established you're two people now, because I keep screwing it up. I'm human. Hi, guys. Mac, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about becoming a pro wrestler, but they're hesitant to? And that'll be the last question before we move on to where we can find you.
I'd say first off is make sure you are dedicated to that decision once you make it. If you're not sure and you want it and you think, okay, am I physically able to go to the gym more often? Am I able to improve my diet? Am I able to do all the types of things that I'd say are needed to get yourself in the right shape and be able to endure the training days and all that kind of stuff? But having faith in yourself is the first key. If you believe in yourself one way or another, then the decision to do it should be easier.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have the love for it and you're just trying to do it just as like it's not that hard to get into it, I'll just half-ass it, like that's not the way to do it. You have to put your full effort into it. I mean, no matter what role it is, honestly. I mean, even as a ref, like when you see a referee that's not good or doesn't know what they're doing, like it reflects the entire promotion as much as if a wrestler screws up badly or something. I mean, like you have to be dedicated and to know what you're doing based on your own dedication.
And I think a good thing for somebody to do who's not sure is to go hang out at a wrestling show, talk to the promoter, say, I'm thinking about getting involved, or there are things that I can do to help around your show to see if I like this environment. You could do ring running, which is helping pick up the wrestlers' gear so the wrestlers don't get hurt, nothing gets damaged. Do ringside videography because they always need extra hands on filming, and getting to see what actually happens in the ring and having that ring awareness just on the outside of the ring will show you, do I have the capability to kind of keep up with these people? So go to these local promotions and say, hey, what can I do to help? That will go a long way.
And for my own case, it was really like, for me, though I was having the questions of if I wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And I went to this. So last year, there was a Frontier Pro Wrestling show in Scranton at one of the VFW locations. And there they had the ticket raffle for Colossal Con as the invited guest to go there. And I said, all right, I'll just buy a raffle ticket. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I win the ticket raffle, so I'm an invited guest to Colossal Con. I witnessed the Colossal Con show, and that was an awesome show last year too.
Yeah.
Then there was a PucciCon show a couple months after that, and at that time, George was supposed to ring announce, but I think there was a family emergency or there was some reason he couldn't make it. Yeah. So for the first match of the card, the heavyweight champion Ricky Price was doing the ring announcing. He recognized me from like the Smash Master wrestling shows.
Yeah.
And so, Zach, do you want to give ring announcing a try? Said, yeah, of course, dude. I don't expect you to do it all night. You're the heavyweight champion. You got to get ready for what you have to do. Like I'm just a fan. I got the time. I can do it. Ring announced that first half of the show. And then Barrio Del Barrio did the second half. So after that, I'm, helping with ring crew because there weren't as many people there. So I was helping with that. And Miguel goes, do you want to try wrestling training? Do you want to give it a shot? And I go, this has to be the sign. Like I was thinking, what if for 2 years? And then Miguel, like up front, asks me, do I want to train? And I'm thinking, this has to be my time to at least try it, give it a chance. And I'm here now. So it's, if you see that belief from someone else, don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Like when they tell you something like, do you want to try it? How many other chances do you have to do it? So I said, let's give it a shot.
That's right. No harm in trying, right?
No.
So we're glad you did, because we're glad to have you as part of our wrestling community, Mac Blakely. And well, we see you a lot, but where can everybody else find you in the real world in wrestling and also on social media?
So in the real world of wrestling, I am still refereeing shows for different promotions. So any Frontier Pro Wrestling shows, any New Era Pro Wrestling shows, and at 3WA, I've been doing the last few shows as well. So I'm looking to be around the NEPA area. If there are bookings in terms of other promotions that are interested, like I did Ring Crew and second roaming camp for GCW in Philadelphia, which still feels surreal to me. Shout out Alexander Bateman. Just said, do you want to come with me to Philly? It's like, sure, let's see what happens. And so you got to put yourself out there, and that's what I'm looking to do. In terms of social media, I'm on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, out there. Mac Blakely. Instagram, it's mac.blakely.pw for pro wrestling. And Facebook, you could just search Mac Blakely, or if you know me in real life, it's the link in my biography. So I'm looking forward to anyone who's willing to join the ride for like you mentioned, the Great Escape here, and the technician's looking to be where he can be.
Awesome, and thank you so much, Mac Blakely, for joining us on the 570 Party Pod. Mac Blakely's final message to you all is don't stop believing and follow your dreams. Absolutely dive in and put in the work. Mac, we are excited to see where your career takes you. We will be following you every step along the way. We wish you luck, and thank you for joining the 570 Party Pod.
Yay!
Thank you both for your continued support and having me today. I really appreciate you both.
Absolutely.
Thank you.